All right, let's go. Today, I want to talk to you about how to become good at anything. I didn't say everything because that's just ridiculous. Nobody wants that anyway. But I'm talking about developing a level of proficiency in something that excites us, something that we're truly interested in. It could have been something that we thought we had a shot at some years ago, and we just put it aside because we realized that we don't have this God-given talent, this gift, right? Or that we're not geniuses because we're comparing ourselves to others, and we realize that some people are just cut out for this. But I want to emphasize that you could be wrong about that. In fact, I do believe that we are. All right? When we're young, we get excited about numerous things, and we want to become this, that, and the other. I wanted to be a cop, a firefighter, a boxer, a preacher, a musician, and the closest I got to any of those was becoming a musician. And I'm not regretful about any of that. But I have these thoughts about, if I just hadn't given up, if I wouldn't have allowed these other things to distract me, if I wouldn't have allowed people to come into my life and discourage me, if I would have stood up for myself, if I just would have been more disciplined. And that stuff can eat away at you, right? It can eat away at you. But I think a lot of times we really believe that it wasn't for us. We didn't have what it took. I've been rereading a book called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. I'll put a link for this down below. Really good. Some rereads are disappointing, a little lackluster. This is not. I'm glad I picked it up when I did. It's kind of what I needed this time. The subheading here says, "Greatness isn't born, it's grown. Here's how." And what Coyle, the author, has done was he's taken a look at people who are very good in their specific area. Athletes, musicians, you name it. I'm mentioning those two because that's who he brings up a lot in this. But really, the principles apply to everybody across the board and whatever it is you want to do. And he's questioned how certain pockets of the world can turn out really good sports teams, like in basketball or soccer or gymnastics, things like that, or musicians, how they can do it over and over again, or how they can just like pop up all of a sudden in this one area and they keep reproducing them. What is it that they have? What are they doing that nobody else is doing? Because there is something to it. And what he preaches in this book is that most people don't have a God-given talent. Most people are not geniuses. If most people were, they wouldn't be geniuses, they would be common. Right? Just makes sense. But he really wants you to understand that talent is not the key. It can be developed, it can be grown, but most of the time it's not gifted. It can be trained in people that had no prior interest in whatever it is they became extremely proficient in later on. He talks about a study that was done by a man where he took 157 young people and they enrolled them in music classes. And the intention was to make them very good musicians. Very, very good musicians. That's what the potential was. They didn't force them to become musicians of that caliber, but they gave them the opportunity. Some people became musicians on a lower level. Some became medium level musicians, and some became very highly proficient musicians. And one of the things they noticed, I was just reading about this today, is they narrowed it down. They could actually predict who was going to become very good at what they do by asking them one question. And that was, How long do you see yourself doing this for? Yeah. How long do you see yourself doing this for? When kids were first brought into this program, and these kids were not kids who had really any prior, well, some of them might have been interested in musical instruments. Some of them weren't. But they'd ask each one, how long do you see yourself doing this for? And initially, they said most of them would go, oh, I don't know. But the more they prodded them and the more they made them think about it, the more serious the answers got. And some kids would say, I see myself doing this forever. And others would say, I'm doing this just to get through the class, or I'm doing this for any number of reasons. But the ones who saw them doing it long term became very good at what they do. Now, on the surface, that might seem to make sense, but the reason behind it was because they tied their identity to their activity, to their pursuit, to their craft, to their art. And I think all too often we don't tie our identity to our pursuit. Some people do that in the wrong way. Some people think that their whole identity is wrapped up in what they're doing. I think that can be harmful, but I understand what he's putting forth in this book. And by the way, I will put a link for this in the description below. You should pick it up. Easy read, easy to understand. But he gets into the concept of deep practice in this. Showing up every day consistently. Now, this is actually a simple concept, right? It's very simple. This is not hard to understand. In fact, you probably already knew it, but it's the idea of coming to class. It may look different for you than for a student in school. You can come to your own class. You can follow your own path. You can follow your own journey. You can chart your own course, but you got to show up every day. People oftentimes refer to it as putting in the reps, and that's true. It's focusing on quantity over quality. It's focusing on slowness over speed. It's more focused on enjoying what you're doing than on the end result. It's caring more about making something of yourself than what other people think of you. Yeah. That's what it is. The simple answer is you show up every day, you do what you do. Doesn't matter if it's little or long. You just do it. It becomes a part of who you are. This is why you see me uploading more videos more often. Lately, I've been doing it every day, and I want to keep doing it. Initially, my motive was I want to become big on YouTube. I'd like to think I could make a lot of money on YouTube. I don't, but I'd like to think I could. On the surface, that was my motivation. But the more I do it, the more I realize I just want to become good at it. Even if nobody watches my videos, I want to do this so much that I can't miss. I want to do it so much that I just flow. I want to do it to the point where I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. Because if I can get to that point, I know I've grown. This is more about quality of life for me. This is more about getting to the end and realizing I've done something. I haven't just sat on my hands. I've poured out of myself and I haven't dawdled it away. And you know what? Your interests can change over time. I don't have to keep doing this, and you don't have to keep doing what you're doing. You may pick up something and realize, oh, you know what? I'm not as excited about this as I thought I was. And that's okay, because there's a million other things you could be doing. But involve yourself in something. For way too long, you put yourself aside for other people. And I'm not saying that was all bad. But you started a family. You're taking care of your kids. You're going to work every day. You got to make sure you bring home money, right? You got to pay the bills. You got to feed your family. And that's all noble. That's what you should be doing. That's the way life works. But we get tired and we start thinking, you know what? I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. Nobody's going to listen to me. Nobody's going to want what I create. Nobody's going to want what I do. Nobody's going to care about me. But that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. And the more I do this, the more I realize it. And it just happens to be that I picked this out of my bookshelf to reread a second time. And it's really, really speaking to me. And I want to share it with you. And I want to help you realize that no matter where you are in life, no matter how old, no matter how young, no matter how rich or poor, no matter what, you can find something you want to do and you can become really good at it, and it can be exciting. It's hard sometimes. And you might think to yourself, I don't have enough to me. You get it by giving away whatever you have. You think, I'm not going to come up, I can't come up with ideas. I can't come up with the time. You do that by giving away your time. You do that by giving away your creativity, and you get more in return. All right? Maybe it's time for you to think about yourself a little bit. I'm not saying be selfish. It's actually quite selfish to not give of yourself. It's actually quite selfish to hold back and not do what God created you to do, whatever that is. You may not be able to define in hard lines what it is you think you were made to do. You just got to do stuff, and the stuff you do can be hard, but you just show up day after day after day. It means you have to fail a lot. It means you might have to get some rejection. People might point their fingers. They might laugh at you. You know what I mean? Trust me, I know. This happens to me. People are not always going to support you, but you do it anyway because you're getting in the reps. You're going to get stronger. You're going to get better. You don't have to worry so much about the quality of everything you're doing. You just keep showing up. That's how you get really good at whatever it is you want to do. And that's why I'm going to keep doing this. Do I think all my videos are good? No, not by a long shot. But I don't care as much about that anymore as I do just going through with it, just being active and figuring out, how can I do this and help other people? It could be that something I've said here, just one thing, might have really spoken to someone and lights a fire into them, and now you're excited. I hope that's the case. If this is what it's done for you, leave a comment down below. Listen, I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire. I'm not going to keep checking up on you, but I want to be excited with you. Life begins to really mean something when you keep showing up for something day after day. And chances are you have been showing up for something day after day. Maybe it's for other people. Maybe it's for your job. What is the reward in that? I'm not saying there isn't one. What I'm saying is, could you be getting more out of life than just that? What is it you really want to do? Do you want to pick up a musical instrument? Do you want to start a YouTube channel? Do you want to go back to school? What is it you really want to, what is it you think about during the middle of the night? When everyone else is asleep and you're wondering about your life. What is it that goes to your head? Maybe it's something that you've done in the past. And you were almost there, but you didn't quite get there. You don't need talent. You don't need genius. You need application. And you need to show up for yourself. All right? You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be super smart. You just do it. You just do it. It's kind of like Nike says, just do it. Like I said, there's nothing really profound here. The greatest lessons we learn in life are the ones that we learn over and over and over again. And this is one of them. So, yeah. That's what I'm going to keep doing. What is it you're going to do? All right. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you've gotten something out of this. Pick up this book. Like I said, I'll leave it in a link in the description. And I would love to hear about your plans. Maybe we can support each other. All right. Thank you for being here. I'll catch you guys on the next one. In the meantime, be wise.